It's fair to say that Occult Crescent is likely a bit of a pain point for the team at Square Enix. After taking an expansion off, they released a hotly anticipated new exploration zone, and alongside it, a brand new fleshed out relic quest following Tombstone's The Musical that we got in Endwalker. Then people didn't like it. It was controversial, marred by players desperate to see something new or at least an evolution of what came before, who were frustrated that the new exploration zone seemed to be a step backwards from both Eureka and Bozja. The Relic too fell below expectations. Steps had been promised to be beatable in both the exploration zone and outside it, and yet in just a few patches since its unveiling, that promise has already been broken. Worse than that, the instance raid at the end of it all, Forked Tower, caused frustration and drama from players on all ends of the spectrum. It didn't go down how the developers envisioned at all. But Occult Crescent hasn't been left to die. It's been quietly receiving small updates here and there, and with the release of patch 7.4, it got its biggest new addition yet: 3 more phantom jobs to complement the current arsenal, in an attempt to reinvigorate the zone. It'll be getting a much larger scale update sometime in the 7.5 patch cycle, and I'll be revisiting it then, but how has it changed now since 7.25? Is there any reason to go back, or is it a wait 4 more months angle? More than that, do the new phantom jobs address any of the major gripes that I personally had with their design? Let's talk about it all. As a small aside, if you want to support discussions about FF14, please do consider subscribing. So in patch 7.3, and you might have missed it because I paid no attention either, Southhorn got a handful of quality of life adjustments, primarily targeting snipers in the Forked Tower. They made it so that large-scale pre-mades of 24 or more players would receive a private instance for a short period upon queuing, increased the number of baseline sanguine ciphers required to trigger the instance, forced players to contribute at least one of those ciphers, and they also delayed the spawning of the Forked Tower weather until after any active critical engagement had ended. Previously, it was a problem that could cause people to have to sit out of CEs or risk missing the instance entirely. They also added increased rewards to pot fates, and the chests that followed from them would now provide guaranteed gold and silver currency, scaling based on the rarity of the chest. This had knock-on effects for sure. Previously, pot fates felt mostly useless unless you were working on the achievement for completing them. The rewards were less consistent and generally worse than what you could attain elsewhere. Now, they became the focal point of the instance's collective attention because of just how much currency it provides, alongside those RNG drops. Now the issue is that too many people want to participate, and only a set number within that fate can actually attain the pots. In patch 7.4, they reduced the knowledge experience loss on death and also reduced the cost of sanguine ciphers. More interestingly though, they added 3 new phantom jobs in Dancer, Mystic Knight, and Gladiator. Are these jobs any good? They're all easy to unlock, just costing some gold and silver currency, so I grabbed them all right away. Let me break them down for you based on my impressions, having leveled each. I went for Mystic Knight first. This job has 3 different spellblades as well as a defensive skill called Magic Shell. All 3 spellblades share a cooldown of 30 seconds, so you get to choose one to use each time. One deals damage but has a chance to petrify the target you hit it with, one does more damage and has a buffed potency against undead enemies, and the third one increases enemy damage taken by 5% for 70 seconds and also increases the user's damage dealt by the same amount. Really, this one is just the silver cannon buff from Cannoneer, which you may be familiar with. Now you have 2 of them. Magic Shell is a shield that can be used on the player or a target, and when it's broken, it buffs the damage of the next spellblade. So the core loop of this job is simple. You keep up Blazing Spellblade by using it once every 60 seconds, and then you use your highest damage blade in between. Use Magic Shell, and proc it as much as possible to buff your damage. That's everything. Personally, I thought it was fine, but not particularly unique. It sounds like you have a ton of options and decision making, but really this isn't the case. What actually happens is it's just a new version of Cannoneer with a reskin, and less overall blasts of a phantom skill per minute. Had they hidden the party buff within a job that has a very core, unique gameplay loop, I'd get it. But this too is literally just a press a GCD every 30 seconds based on the enemy type, just like Cannoneer. It just has less of them. So far, I was not particularly impressed. My biggest issues with Phantom jobs were twofold. Many didn't feel like they had an appealing gameplay loop with either decision making or a variety of useful skills. Lots just had a mindless button you'd press every 30, 60 or 120 seconds, something that was only useful in Fork Tower, and a filler. Secondly, I felt that the interesting interactions with Phantom jobs and normal jobs were lacking on many accounts. There were of course exceptions, one being the mana regeneration from a chemist, combined with a Dark Knight or Black Mage, but by and large those interactions were not the case. These were the exception and not the rule. So what I was looking for from these Phantom jobs was one or both of these two hopes coming to fruition. Gladiator came next, and I liked this one a lot more. Its first skill is Finisher, which has a 20% chance to miss, a 20% chance to do giga damage, and a 60% chance to do its standard amount of damage. This attack hits incredibly hard and is a gamble, and it has an additional effect tying into Gladiator's second ability. This second ability is Defend, and it gives you a huge 50% damage reduction and lasts just a few seconds, a bit like a third eye. Every time you take damage with it active, you gain a stack, and the more stacks you have, the more damage your gambling attack does. But if you take damage without Defend active when it is available to use, you lose a stack. So you're constantly finding ways to take damage but live, and once you've built your stacks up, to maintain them with smart defend usage. It's actually really fun, and it changes the way you play. You have this risky push and pull between getting hit but not too much, and then when you have all the stacks, to get hit only when you're supposed to, when you have a defend to use it on. And funnily enough, that's only half the job's kit. On top of that, it has long reach, a ranged attack, and blade blitz and AoE attack. These two inherently aren't interesting, but that's okay in my opinion. Not every Phantom action needs a 6-page tooltip with 6 different interactions. Between just Finisher and Defend, you have an intriguing loop that applies player focus in different ways, and these additions just give you some mindless extra button mashing to complement those already deep entries in the list. You can pair it with a tank to live through practically every type of damage, or you could use it on Samurai and use it and Third Eye in collaboration to generate tons of extra Kenki alongside the finisher hits. Gladiator is a good one for sure, easily on pace with the best of the best 7.25 jobs. Dancer is the third Phantom job added, and just like its new peers, it too has 4 actions in total. One of these abilities is one of those crystal skills, the ones that you can use next to the crystals across the map to grant a 30-minute buff to the party. This one increases damage dealt by 2%, but you can use it as an active as well in battle, providing a 20% evasion buff to the user, a nice little defensive secondary to an ability that could quickly become rote. This is also one of the first times I've seen evasion as a buff stat in this game since Featherfoot all the way back in A Realm Reborn. In my experience, it wasn't particularly impactful, but I suppose it's the thought that counts. Its first skill is Dance, which applies one of 4 effects at random. Each of them do damage, though slightly different values, but one also paralyzes the target and leeches HP from them, another leeches MP and blinds, and a third disables them. This one is kind of a 30-second press it and forget it skill, but it has that added layer of RNG to make you feel a little more involved in the flavour of the outcome. Steadfast Stance is another defensive, providing a single target shield to the user, and then lastly they have Mesmerize. This does damage and also has a passive damage increase for the player and increased damage taken for the target of 5%. This once more is another Silver Cannon from Cannoneer. In fact, this and Silver Cannon overwrite each other, so it's clear Square Enix wanted to spread that all-powerful party buff and allow it to come from more sources. So now you're intended to keep up either Mesmerize or Silver Cannon as well as Blazing Spellblade from Mystic Knight. Dancer is clearly another utility buff Phantom job, and it's fine enough for what it is. It's interesting that 2 of the 3 new Phantom jobs provide debuffs to the boss in a similar way to Silver Sickness. Whether this is an attempt at sneakily nerfing the health bars of critical engagements without making fates any quicker or not is yet to be seen, but it could be the truth. I really like Gladiator. It offers a unique and interesting playstyle that changes the way you interact with fights, but whilst the others clearly make an effort, they don't hit the mark for me. They either copy archetypes the Phantom job system literally already has, or don't conjure a cohesive kit that interacts with the wider game in interesting ways. A bit like the base jobs, honestly. Nothing here is bad, but only one feels special in any way. They also added a new passive for Phantom Freelancer for maxing the old and new jobs. This one allows you to activate all of the crystal buffs at once via a single source, which is a lovely little piece of quality of life. They also added 10 new rare drop accessories, as some kind of rare aspirational drop that enthusiasts can pursue. These are also market tradable, so you can use Occult Crescent to more consistently earn money if you spend a lot of time in there, much like Cassie earrings and other rare drops from Eureka. These give you additional stats as well as special attribute, which is the Occult Crescent exclusive stat, and you can get them from critical engagements, coffers, pots, and bunnies. I quite like this addition, though I can't imagine it brings many people back into the zone at the moment. So, back to the title. Did they fix Occult Crescent? Not really, though the additions are nice. What they've added is of a good level of quality, but it is by no means a hook. If you're on the fence, I would wait until 7.5. Hopefully these updates combined with a new zone will give the Occult Crescent the shot in the arm it desperately needs. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do consider supporting my Patreon or becoming a YouTube member like these fine people. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.